She found a chic woman beside her, a woman more stylish than her. After 3 seconds of petting her dog, she remembered the woman was from 3 years ago. But Yumi was too scared to say a word. At the reminder of the young heiress, she stepped out of the elevator. She blended into high society, and even married the next mayor candidate. This is why Yumi feared encountering Anna. Sadly, the rich circles in Korea were smaller than she had imagined. Outside the posh apartment, she saw Yumi again and mocked her just like 3 years ago. Since then, to avoid Anna, Yumi dared not ride the elevator again. She takes the stairs every day. Sadly, her home is on the 23rd floor. With her heels in hand, she slowly climbed up. Yumi gasped, breathless with fatigue. But what was meant to happen did. One day, when Yumi opened her door, Anna unexpectedly appeared in her home. A school notice sent to Anna revealed. Yumi fell to her knees with a thud. After owning up, Yumi asked Anna to forgive her. But by now, Anna had lost her billion-dollar fortune. How could she give up this chance to make money? She boldly asked Yumi for $3 billion. Cheon then told her husband everything. Faced with Anna's pressure, Yumi's heart sank. Anna, deep in debts, was struggling. She never eased up on Yumi. Anna received a gift prepared for her by a wealthy lady. It was exactly 100 million. She handed over the money to Anna eagerly. To her surprise, Anna dismissed it and tossed it on the ground. In this world, there's no problem that money can't solve. As there is, it must mean there's not enough money. My patience is limited. Hurry up. Oh, and Yumi. Keep going up the stairs. In the car, Yumi started to feel violent. With a surge of speed, she fiercely aimed her car at Anna, but ultimately, she stopped. What? Afraid to go through with it? Yumi's legendary life story begins in her childhood. Struggling to make ends meet. One day, several American soldiers entered the shop. The officer in charge wanted to order a dress for his wife. Little Yumi's adorable appearance quickly caught the lady's attention. Watching her practice piano in front of the painting, Madam brought Yumi to her home. She taught her English patiently, but also played card games with her. That day, the officer had a fierce argument with Madam. Madam lied for respect in the village, claiming she was a noblewoman and related to the princess. This upset the officer. Yumi understood their talk. The next day, during a card game, Yumi won. But Madam said, even though you won, you made a fatal mistake. Because she had a gray hand just now, her smile was instantly visible. She taught Yumi not to let others easily see through her inner self. Before leaving, Madam reminded her again, Yumi should keep her poker face. Everything about Madam deeply influenced little Yumi's thoughts. Everything had to be the best. Honest dad worried he couldn't satisfy Yumi in the future, but mom was confident their daughter would find a way. In elementary school, Yumi's strong vanity began to show. When classmates learned of her home and laughed at her having a mute mom, she responded by continuing her expensive ballet lessons. Faced with Yumi's cries, kind-hearted dad still steeled himself and fulfilled her request. In middle school, Yumi had top grades. But when applying for courses, she changed her major to fine arts. Even without talent in that field, she insisted on studying because she believed those who could draw were more respected. Most importantly, the young teacher who taught her was also drawn to her, and they began a romance. Surrounded by her female classmates, Yumi's vanity was greatly satisfied. But a surprise event left her shocked. Their inappropriate relationship was reported to the school. To protect himself, he falsely claimed Yumi seduced him. Yumi wanted to argue. Damn it! How dare he talk back? Staring at the stomach spat, Yumi saw the world's ugliness for the first time. After such a shameful event, Yumi had to drop out. Clearly, she couldn't stay in this village any longer. At dawn, Dad packed her things to take her. Yumi moved to the city to finish her studies. Mom gestured sadly in sign language to bid her farewell, but Yumi never glanced at him. Finally, Dad tirelessly found a school willing to take Yumi in. With the money she saved, she rented an apartment near the school. Yet past events left Yumi gloomy. Facing her parents' hopes, Yumi claimed she'd been accepted at a top university. Her parents eagerly gathered her tuition, but she quietly spent it on tutoring. But news of her Seoul University acceptance was soon found out by her housemate. The senior eagerly showed her around campus and invited her to join clubs. Like Yumi was driven by vanity and had to keep up the act. Her outstanding presence instantly drew cheers from the seniors, but no one knew that she was just a rural girl who never graduated high school. The envious gazes from classmates made her feel ecstatic, and she began lying about her background, claiming to be a rich heiress that's been abroad in the diamond trade. Her stunning looks and prestigious background quickly caught the attention of a wealthy, handsome guy. The two naturally fell in love. She thought that as long as she worked hard to get into college, everything she desired would eventually come true. Little did she know, Faye had other plans. When the next exam results came out, she once again did not pass, but at this time, her boyfriend got an opportunity abroad. Just when she thought her love and studies were both disappointing, her boyfriend suggested taking her with him abroad. They married right after graduation. Yumi smiled and agreed. She came home, saying she got a study abroad chance. When Dad found he had to pay himself, the joy on his face instantly faded. But after her repeated pleas, her dad agreed anyway. Just as Yumi and her boyfriend were checking in, her boyfriend's parents called. They exposed Yumi's deception. Unaware, Yumi greeted them with a smile. She was met with their cold rejection. As Yumi was struggling from heartbreak, she got bad news from home. Dad sadly died from late-stage cancer. Mom was also hit with dementia. Yumi returned home in despair. She broke down seeing Dad's memorial picture. Though life was a mess, she knew life had to go on. Yumi planned to sell her dad's tailoring shop. But when she saw the ledger he left, guilt filled her heart. It was filled with reports of tuition he paid for her. Losing her pillar of support, she had to rely on herself from now on. She placed her sick mom into her aunt's care. Yumi boarded the train back. With just a high school diploma, she did all the hard work. From restaurants to parking garages, she does the hardest work for the least pay. She lucky scored a job in a rich area. A nanny kid with no degree needed. Her main task is to care for the wealthy heiress' personal life. Although the job isn't easy, but she can afford health insurance. Mother and daughter find some income. Yumi often helps Miss Anna organize documents and cleans up the trash. In the evening, she acts as a driver to bring home a drunk Anna. Occasionally, Anna shows some kindness, gifting her some used items as presents. One day, Yumi was sent to the young lady's room to get clothes. She wore $100 slippers for the first time. Gazing at the chic, lavish decor, her eyes were filled with envy. The owner's wardrobe opened her eyes even more. Countless designer bags and clothes. Yumi picked a few clothes she thought were nice, but got drawn to high heels before leaving. She slipped her foot in, admiring her slender calves, as if these shoes would suit her even better. Just when she thought she had integrated in here, Mom wrote wanting to visit the city to see her working daughter to get a day off. Her manager scolded her fiercely. Then she got a message from Anna to book a flight for a trip. Anna told Yumi not to fret. Anna hardly knows the other party. Feeling total despair, Yumi simply said, "Why should I worry about you?" Thus, they remained relatively friendly. Their master-servant bond was broken. The next day, Anna tossed tea on the floor. She blamed Yumi for failing at even minor tasks. Watching Yumi humbly bend down in front of her, the wealthy heiress finally backed down, realizing that she no longer had a place here. On a snowy, stormy night, at her limit, Yumi began her revenge. She took all the change from the machine, and also stole the rich girl's ed and certificates, then disappeared amidst the swirling snowflakes. The next day, as a rich young lady, Yumi appeared at a hair salon. She faked a resume with her lady's background. Recommended by her senior, she changed her name to apply for senior lecturer. The interviewer hired her on the spot. After failing the exam thrice, Yumi had gained rich exam experience, believed her brother was seeking tutors, while interacting with various training centers. At night, she sold what she learned to her students. One needs their own identity at school. Just as she was handling it with ease, but she was summoned to the director's office. Graduated from Yale University, Yumi feared her secret might be revealed, feeling unsettled inside. Yet on the outside, she stayed serene. Luckily, the senior graduated 3 years earlier and didn't know Yumi. Having escaped the crisis, Yumi quickly left the room, but she secretly listened in on their chat. The senior told the director she didn't know Yumi. She had heard rumors about her at school. I could see from her manner that she was from a prominent family. Since then, to solidify her, who was the heiress of a financial dynasty, Yumi invested her monthly salary in buying high-end replica clothing. She even rented a suite in a luxury apartment for herself. Next, her destiny welcomed a greater turning point. Indeed, some students got accepted into top foreign schools thanks to her. Soon, many rich youths came seeking her help. Even the seniors sought out Yumi, hoping to join her ranks. Stepped into high society. Standing at the university lectern, Yumi shone brightly, full of confidence. Combined with her impromptu skills, Yumi's extraordinary life continued. Her prestigious family and excellent skills instantly caught the principal's eye. The old man even took on the role of matchmaker for Yumi. He is more than a billionaire CEO, also somewhat known in politics. His solid backs his marrow bit. Yumi said yes to the blind date. At the blind date, he admired Yumi's grace. He was instantly smitten. To flaunt his wealth, he told Yumi about the expensive items around her. All have been airlifted from abroad overnight. But after surveying the room, Yumi suddenly asked him, why do the others look so artistic, yet the sofa is a replica? The man awkwardly laughed. Clearly, this was all part of his plan, to test the waters with Yumi. Questioning this heiress' truth, little did he know, Yumi once worked as a maid in wealthy neighborhoods. Her truth's clear with a touch, and Yumi firmly declined the blind date. The man hoped to be given 3 chances to meet her, promising to respect her decision. Thus, they began their official dates. As they gradually dated, their feelings quickly deepened. Soon, they picked a wedding date, but Yumi's dad had passed from illness. Her mom was deaf and mute to cover up her poor background. When both sets of parents met, Yumi hired 2 actors to play her parents. She oversaw every detail personally. She hoped they would pay more attention to their costumes and hairstyles. What? Aren't you satisfied? Yes. The grand wedding arrived as planned. Celebrities attended this grand event. But just as she was transforming her life, Yumi encountered her former identity, Anna. A normal person who could avoid the public eye, she cautiously asked her husband if they could move away. Living in luxury made her election harder, but he claimed he was already strong enough. The tangos who backed him that day, the driver was 5 minutes late due to traffic. This made her husband very angry. Without a word, he kicked. This had worked for him for 20 years. Seeing her husband's mad actions, Yumi felt fear for the first time. She feared what would happen if her fake identity was found out, and what a cruel ending awaited her. From then on, Yumi became even more cautious. She stopped using the elevator. Every day, she climbed the stairs, climbing up step by step, carrying high heels awkwardly. Yumi is out of breath, but she doesn't give up. Compared to her past hardships, this is nothing. But what had to come arrived? One day, when Yumi opened the door, Anna surprisingly appeared in her house. To gather a large sum, Yumi chose a risky route. After gathering a list of 45 tangos, Yumi visited as the mayor's wife. But her true purpose was for these gifts from the ladies. In just a month, the cart trunk was already stuffed with cash. Her odd hours made her husband suspicious. One morning, her husband arranged for her to have a secretary tasked with managing her schedule. Strangely, the secretary also shares her name, Zoe Yumi. Yumi was briefly shocked. She wasn't sure if it was a hint or chance. Since that day, she arranged Yumi's schedule. By night, the secretary drove Yumi to an event, waiting for the guests to gather before letting Yumi in. The secretary replied, "It's a valuable opportunity to prove herself." She doesn't feel tired. Yumi looked out the window. She sighed. She used to be this selfless, but life pushed her to the edge. The pressure to compensate left her gasping. Yumi stared at her without saying a word. It frightened the maid. But it was too late. Yumi frantically unleashed her inner rage. She had faced harsh humiliation for asking off, and now she had turned into the person she despised. The maid saw her mistress like this for the first time, until Yumi noticed the secretary beside her. Her rage started to ease. She then apologized to the maid. The maid wisely said it was all her fault. At this time, Yumi's ex returned home after his studies. By chance, he reached out to Yumi's senior, Jian. He reminded Jian, no matter how Yumi became a professor, the reason they broke up back then was because Yumi had deceived her. He suspected that Anna's name was fake. Jian felt puzzled by this, but the seeds of doubt were sown in her heart. He began searching online for Yumi's details. He couldn't find a Seoul University professor. He found info on a student with her name, but there was truly no file on Yumi. She stubbornly returned to Yumi's apartment. From the landlady, she learned part of the truth. When Yumi left there, she had actually owed 2 months' rent. She lied, saying she went to the US. After that, she vanished completely. Landlady found her parents in Hongshan, and they got the rent back. Jiwon hurried to Hongshan and met with Yumi's high school classmate. The classmate told her Yumi used to be an excellent student, but she was expelled due to a romantic relationship. After that, there was no contact. Just as Jiwon sought to investigate more, her boss caught her. They ordered her to meet someone that evening. Jiwon was about to refuse, but the caller had already hung up. The meeting was with Yumi's husband. Because of Yumi's prior recommendation, Yumi's husband admired her greatly. He prepared to help her specifically. But honest Jiwon politely refused. She did not want to take this kindness. The man advised her to be like Yumi and seize opportunities. Jiwon asked him what chance Yumi got. She picked me to marry. The man's smile was full of meaning. He seemed to already know the truth. The strange meeting came to an end. At the next mayor's election ceremony, the man appeared quite pleased with himself. Beside him, Yumi smiled stiffly. She faintly sensed that danger was approaching. To quickly shake off Anna's entanglement, that night, Yumi chose to give the 3 billion to her. She stumbled past a small store where Tangos news aired on TV, covering his daughter's suicide at home. At first, she didn't think much of it, but when she passed Anna's mansion, it was surrounded by police. Then Yumi realized the dead was Anna. That night, the man came to Yumi's room, claiming it was for the election campaign. He made Yumi quit her professor job. This faced strong pushback from Yumi. Clearly, he wasn't discussing with Yumi, but issuing her an order. The next day, Yumi taught at school as usual. The classroom was packed full. The students listened attentively to her lecture. In just a few short years, he had fully mastered the job. But after class, an incident happened. A teacher at his school told him he just got word from the principal. The school put Yumi on leave. At this moment, she understood her life was slipping out of control. He had lunch accompanied by his secretary. He learned that the girl's home was far away. He kindly offered to rent her a closer apartment to ease his daily commute. He then made his own request. She asked the secretary to draft a document, list every employee laid off during her husband's campaign. In the following days, Yumi truly began the work arranged by her husband. She left a gentle smile at the donation ceremony, joined the public in charity events. She showcased the mayor's wife's proper poise on camera. That evening, the secretary handed her a spreadsheet. It contained a list of layoffs Yumi had mentioned. The young secretary wasn't sure if what he did was right or wrong, yet he chose to trust the woman before him. The two Yumis sat quietly in the car. Maybe fate linked these girls of different backgrounds. The same girls built an inexplicable trust. However, changes occurred the next day. The newspaper, aided by a senior, got news quickly. The man who just became mayor, he had previously been married. Hidden away in America, the other side. The man raged on hearing the scandal. He made the secretaries kneel, furiously blamed their poor work. Yet, an unexpected turn came. Everyone's phones went off at the same time. Negative rumors about Yumi surfaced online again. Years ago, her thesis was forged. The man ordered his team to hold nothing back. Soon, Yumi was called to the office. The forger of her credentials is caught. He'll attend a press conference tomorrow to prove Anna's innocence, but when asked about his love child rumors, the man told Yumi, "That crazy woman Anna sought me out a few days ago." Clearly, her husband had long known her background and had been covering it all up for his own career. If things ended here, Yumi quietly being a decoration is best. For her, it's the best end. Sent her husband into rage against her. It turned out Yumi had once appeased Anna's blackmail, demanding riches from typos in the mayor's name. The billion-dollar gifts were uncovered. He grabbed Yumi by the throat and slammed her against the wall. Bangs bulged on the man's face. He wished to shatter the woman before him. Only when Yumi was near death did he let go. The husband wasn't soft. It was that Yumi still had value for him. Then, a big shot entered. The man instantly put on a friendly, harmless smile. Poor Yumi had just faced a threat. She had to dry her tears and act sweet. Yumi was needed for the mayor's final event. The man maintained a calm facade. He showcased the couple's love to the citizens. Yet Yumi couldn't feel happy at all because just moments ago, Yumi got a call from the care home. She learned her mom's health was failing fast, but it was a key time for her husband's success. She could not leave at all. Finally, it was time to go home. She begged her husband. She had to rush to see her mother. "Isn't your mother in Japan?" The man's words cut deeply into Yumi. Clearly, after his win, Yumi had already lost her last bit of value. The ceremony had just ended. The husband was ready to take Yumi to the US to visit their son with autism. Yet, he underestimated Yumi. She got an S-drive from the secretary. Yumi found out all of Juhao's illegal records. It also contained details of his corruption. To take down her husband, she approached her senior, the reporter, Jian, and gave her the incriminating as. Then, to protect the secretary from the impending chaos, Yumi proposed to fire her, but the girl refused. She believed Yumi's choice was right. She said that no matter Yumi's identity, she would always support her. Jian got a message from Yumi. She planned to take advantage of Juhao's absence to send the S to the prosecutor. On the plane, Yumi got another call from rehab. Her mother had just passed away, just like when her father died. She clung to power through lies, which kept her from seeing her parents one last time. The two drove on the vast American highway. Yumi got a message. Due to a hiccup, Chia's delivery plan faltered, but she said she'd find another way. At this moment, her husband said his first wife had lost her life 3 years ago due to affecting his election. So this time he made all the preparations. There's Samantha Ward 50 came ahead. It's her best refuge. Yumi remained silent. She just coldly looked at him, not buckling her seatbelt. Suddenly, a deer jumped onto the road. In a panic, the man jerked the steering wheel. Yumi quickly pulled the handbrake. The speeding car was out of control and hit a utility pole by the road. Moments later, Yumi struggled to crawl out of the car. She retrieved her passport from the vehicle. Stumbling, she held up her phone looking for a signal. Finally, she received a message from Ziyuan, but it left her in despair. The regulators were all her husband's crew. The S-drive was never sent. This became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Her husband cried out in despair from inside the car. Meanwhile, Yumi took out the lighter. She slowly lit her hand back. Without hesitation, she threw the backpack into the car. Thick smoke rose behind her. The man's cries for help became weaker. And so, Yumi's life, filled with lies, came to an end. Not long after, in a small town in America, a woman living alone moved in. No one knew her background. They only knew her name was Anna.